Welcome back, everyone. We are live here at SolidWorks Live at 3D Experience World 2022. So earlier today, we heard from Dan Wagner, who sat with Brian and I talking about SWGN, the overall community, a lot of what's going on with SWGN at 3D Experience World. He mentioned a couple of awards, right? A couple of award winners. And I am joined by three of those award winners here. Wow, you're all here. You just instantly popped up. So we have our Reseller AE of the Year, Tracy Wittig. We have Marcus Brown from the Reseller of the Year, MLC CAD Systems, and Heather Haas from the Partner of the Year. How are you guys doing?
Great, Sean. Thank you.
Great.
Yeah, it's awesome to have you guys here. Three true connectors in the community at large. So I wanted to start with you here, Tracy. And if we could share my screen just to kind of give you guys a bit more of the spotlight here. We have thousands of AEs across the world, and someone might be wondering, what's the backstory here? How does one even become the Reseller AE of the Year?
So the spirit of the SWGN Reseller AE of the Year is recognizing an individual who has made a significant impact to the entire SOLIDWORKS community. Last year was the first year of this award, which was rightfully granted to Alain Vargatu for his contributions to the SOLIDWORKS community over many, many years. This year, the SWGN community leaders unanimously selected me for my backstage contribution to last year's first ever full virtual 3D Experience World. And being a speaker at World is stressful enough.
No, Tracy, it was surely needed, right? It was a time of transition. That's when we need our community leaders the most. But please go on.
Yeah, being a speaker at World is stressful enough. And when you add on a completely new environment to deliver information at an international conference where you cannot rehearse your steps until your session goes live, well, people tend to have a lot of passionate and urgent questions. Yeah. So the speakers had a private Slack community to ask questions and post issues to the DS moderators. These moderators were incredibly helpful, but there was simply not enough of them. And it was quickly apparent they were overwhelmed. So in true SOLIDWORKS forum style, I started helping anyone I could with answers I received from the mods for my own session and from scouring every comment thread that I could. I figured if I helped even one speaker, it would impact the hundreds to thousands of worldwide attendees tuning in for that session. I found myself helping as many people as I could, which allowed others to follow along in comment threads for their own solutions, doing so much so, I ended up being mistaken as a DS employee, receiving direct messages and getting @mentioned alongside the official mods. And then last night I was recognized for this award at the SWGN Summit, and to quote the APG user group leader Cameron Smith, she made the event last year move way smoother, and she was not even on the payroll and was doing this out of the kindness of her heart because she saw that it was needed.
Yeah, and that's a story with so many of our community leaders, right? It's just sort of understanding the need and sort of inserting yourself into that need and fulfilling what's required. What are your summary? We talked about 3D Experience World 2021. We're now at 3D Experience World 2022. You've been involved in the community for a while, right, Tracy? What are some of your favorite memories from SWGN?
So some favorite memories include how I instantaneously started a friendship with the user group leader, Cameron Smith, by forgetting to erase my whiteboard doodle of a classic internet cartoon character called Trogdor the Burninator. Cameron saw the doodle before seeing me, and his proclamation as he walked into my PDM class was, "This is going to be awesome."
This is going to be awesome. Yeah. Love. Yeah. And if we could just show my screen here, and I believe this is at on my screen APG SWG. This is Cam Smith's SWG.
Yep, that one's one of Cameron Smith's SWG, and I think we're actually holding up DriveWorks coasters, which may be a spoiler alert coming up soon.
Maybe we do have Heather here, so we'll talk to Heather in just a bit. But yeah, Cam Smith, SOLIDWORKS user group leader, SOLIDWORKS champion, member of the historic SlugMe 6 production. So, man, I wish I was there. It looks like it was super nice out too. And I see our mutual friend here, Heather Dahl, also of Trimec. Heather and I worked together for several years. Just an outstanding engineer. So yeah, just great stuff. Tracy, how can any AE help their local SWUG? Maybe they're just hearing about SWUGin, maybe they're a new AE and they haven't done their first user group presentation yet. We talked about that. We kind of shared stories a little bit earlier. But again, how can any AE look to help their local user group?
Just be present. Don't only show up for when you are presenting. Attend as many sessions as you can and show genuine interest in others. This is a rare opportunity to get to know other people after hours and learn about what ignites that spark, and it's different for everyone. It's a chance to really let your hair down as a SOLIDWORKS user, and you'll be surprised how much there is to learn from others, and it's truly a win-win situation for everyone.
Fantastic. Totally agree. Right? We shared some insights about that earlier. From a presenter standpoint, going to a user group, getting those public speaking skills in, sharpening your SOLIDWORKS skills or whatever product you're presenting on, and also just connecting with the community, right? Like it just feels good to be able to do that, even though it's not necessarily required, as part of any of our jobs. I think that is really special. You get to strip off those titles, right? You're just attendees, fellow attendees at a user group looking to connect and learn from each other. So thank you so much for sharing those insights. I want to just turn my attention to MLC CAD, right, with Marcus here. Marcus, how's it going?
It's going great.
Awesome, man. So you have some pretty interesting user group presentations and pretty interesting demo sets. I want to start off with you talking about MLC. What is it that, as far as the culture of MLC, what is it that encourages so many of your people to get involved within the SWUGin community?
I mean, it's always been kind of a directive from the top. Dennis Hill, who is our late owner, always expected it. And a lot of our AEs have been around forever. And so it's just part of the culture. It's just part of the expectation that you stay active and get involved. But more so than just sort of putting in the time and sort of showing up because we're supposed to, we work together to try to make the user groups as much fun as possible, try to really make great presentations, come up with some interesting stuff, some interesting approaches. We try to help out with ideas on, venues and food, anything we can do to help out, because we do enjoy it a lot. We enjoy seeing our customers and hanging out. And as Tracy said, we're there to attend. We're there as users as well. We just happen to be some of the people that know the software really well. So we can kind of help out, answer questions and things like that.
Yeah, and as one of the leaders within the overall culture at MLC CAD, how have you personally gotten involved within SWUGs in your region?
Well, I live in Stillwater, Oklahoma, which is kind of in the middle of nowhere. And as an applications engineer, we covered Arkansas, Kansas, and Oklahoma. And so within just a couple hours driving distance, I had about six or seven user groups that were all they were closest to me. And so I would just keep going from one to the next, having a good time and getting to know everybody. And it was really nice to be able to see how everybody runs their events, right? It's not like I have one local event that I work with. And then once I started gotten to all the ones that were local to me, I started having a lot of fun and decided to open it up. And actually, handful of years ago, 6-7 years ago, I kind of put out the call to the entire user group leaders group and said, hey, if you want me to come, I'll come. And so then I started going out of territory, Chattanooga, Houston, all kinds of fun locations to just kind of see what everybody was doing.
Yeah, and one thing I really admire about you and your style, and we've talked about this, last week, we revisited it, I've talked about it with you beforehand. You really sort of embrace that idea that if you're having fun, it's one of the best ways to learn. Tell us some of the ways that you've kept your SOLIDWORKS content, your simulation content, whatever it is that you're presenting at a local group. Again, fun and engaging. Actually, if we could show my screen here, we have a few examples. Maybe you could even narrate over a couple of these and just tell us what they were all about, what the demo sets are. Obviously, this is a giraffe. We see you presenting on the left-hand side as well. But yeah, what were these data sets all about?
Well, I wanted to do something that wasn't so pre-planned. I think a lot of the beauty of a SolidWorks user group presentation is in failing in front of people so that
Sure.
you can show them how you would recover. And so I came up with this ridiculous idea of whose line is it anyways? It's improv, CAD, comedy trips.
I like it.
And I kept thinking about it. Nobody thought it was a good idea. And so finally I just said, that's it. I'm just going to do it.
I'm just doing it.
And yeah, and so I just asked, I figured I kind of have a formula. I asked the audience for an animal, and then we build it. And it's very organic, which is not necessarily suited for parametric features. So this giraffe, we built this giraffe from a sketch picture, put it all together. We ended up injection molding it, doing volume calculations to find out what the volume was so we could figure out how much we'd have to buy on Amazon to fill it with Skittles. We turned it into a Skittles dispenser, life size. And then we did plastic injection molding on it. And this one happens to be a simulation analysis of hitting it with a bat. I just wanted to see what would happen if you hit a life-size ABS half-inch wall thickness giraffe with Skittles with a bat.
Virtual testing. That's what it's for.
And we started from nothing, and we got
Yeah.
to that during one presentation. It was an absolute hilarious fun time.
I bet just exploring around, right? And you did this in SolidWorks 3D CAD. You know, it's interesting. Even if you look at it's always a cool exercise, right? You look at an object, whether it's a real world object that you'd want to model in SolidWorks, you know, a new product idea, or something like this, like a giraffe, right? And you're like, how would I actually? What would be my approach? You know, let me sit down and think about this. You didn't even have access to the 3D Sculptor, which would have been my go-to in that instance. So it must have been a fun time and, you know, super exploratory. You know, if we look at my screen again, just some other examples of some of your file sets, like what's
one,
this one?
So we named him Sprinkles. He's a pterodactyl made of aluminum. We did flow simulation on him, found out that he would never be airborne. And
So sad.
we were having so much fun. Venue we were at, Chattanooga, it was supposed to be for business only use. We were laughing and hooting and hollering. They tried to kick us out because they thought, well, there's no way this is a business, purpose.
So wait, you're saying you were so loud at the user group meeting that they were like, get these guys and gals out of here. This can't be a normal meeting.
Yes, luckily Nicole was there. Nicole Walden, she said, no, it's just a funny tips and tricks session. It's really, really serious. And at one point I asked everybody, I said, so is this kind of what you do? And everybody was like, no, we don't make pterodactyls with sprinkles and Chuck Norris tattoos.
Not my industry.
They said we do sheet metal and weldment. So we did a weldment kind of orc helmet on it, and sheet metal orc helmet and a weldment saddle, and we put R2-D2 on him. We did some visualized rendering, against a velociraptor, of course. So we were having a ton of fun with that one.
That is hilarious, right? We see some of your other creations here. But yeah, just wanted to thank you once again, Marcus, for all the work you've done, just filling our lives with joy and learning at these user group meetings, and of course, just more broadly, MLC CAD systems as well, as the Swuggen Reseller of the Year. Heather, wanted to turn our attention to you here. So somebody celebrated a birthday recently, right?
Yeah, it wasn't me, not yet. But yes, as a matter of fact, thanks for having me, by the way.
Absolutely.
But yes, DriveWorks, typically DriveWorks celebrates the birthday of DriveWorks around February 1st every year. And so we are 21 years old, which means that we've been automating SolidWorks for just about 21 years now. And so 21 years of innovating and developing technology to simply help designers design more efficiently using SolidWorks and DriveWorks. And so we had a great celebration earlier this week, yesterday. As a matter of fact, it's been a long week today.
It's been a long week today.
It has been a long week today. And the team had a great celebration. So wishing Glenn and Maria many more years of success with the software and providing great solutions. Thanks, Sean.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if we could take a look at my screen here, we have some nice photos of the team at DriveWorks. Yeah, it's interesting. Before I came aboard to the team at SolidWorks, across a couple roles here, I was an AE, right? Like so many of us are, and I used to use DriveWorks all the time, right? Implementations, technical support, all that. Like you said, there's so many cases where our SolidWorks API might be a little bit overcomplicated for the things you need to do to automate your models. So I've certainly been a fan of DriveWorks and its ease of use. Now, what do we see here? We see a bunch of different what look like virtual meetups. As we've transformed how we get together, it's definitely required us to do some new things. And within Swuggen, there's really no difference there, right? With you guys at DriveWorks and how you've almost embraced this virtual atmosphere. Tell us a little bit about how you've been able to do this virtually.
Sure. Yeah. So at DriveWorks, we've always had a strong sense of community. We launched our Swuggen sponsor program at SolidWorks World 2015. I joined the team 6 years ago because of that strong sense of community inside of the company, but also in the SolidWorks community. And so when you have years of supporting a program and you're on the road working with resellers like MLCCAD and Trimac and our customers to present, and then all of a sudden travel shifts, right? All of a sudden you're at home, but you're also able to dial into, I can be at a meeting in India or England, inside of 24 hours, just from using the technology that we've all been given the opportunity to kind of push to the limits, I think, at some point. And so the photos that you were showing before are a perfect representation about how the SolidWorks community, all areas, customers, user group leaders, partners, resellers, we've all been able to use these tools to stay connected. I mean, who would have known back in Nashville that would be the last time we would have seen each other and been together physically for a couple years? But we've successfully used the tools, and with a few hiccups and a couple of barking dogs and crying kids, but we've all kind of learned how to leverage that technology to stay engaged, because I think at the very core is that engagement, right? The connectivity, right. What our community is built on. And whether it's for personal mental health, professional networking, we embraced it as an opportunity to stay even more connected than our original reach may have been, because the community has grown as well over the last couple of years, as we saw in the Swuggen meeting last night, the growth. And we also took it really quickly, just as an opportunity. We took a page from Swuggen. We admired the program, the community, and DriveWorks we used technology to launch our own user group network that just celebrated 1 year. And as a matter of fact, we had Dan Wagner at one of our very first meetings as a guest, DriveWorks Drivers. And that's been a fully virtual engagement with customers, and it's been fantastic. So using the tools that we have to make the most out of a situation, and those photos are just a small glimpse into what we've been able to successfully accomplish.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, we have these 15-minute segments where we're giving sort of the best of what's going on software-wise, community-wise with our partners, the whole deal. But really what I look at these 15-minute segments as is not really just a springboard into other ways you can take advantage of 3D Experience World, but other ways you can make connections, right? Like well beyond the event. As we close up this segment here with the three of you, and it's been so awesome reconnecting, Heather, any right? World is all about these announcements and updates. Anything you want to update us on as far as what DriveWorks is up to?
Really quickly, because I know I've taken up a bit of time. I'm excited to say the least. We've updated our own online learning resources, understanding we live in a hybrid world now, right? Where we might have attended universities and training on site. our kids and our kids' kids, everybody does hybrid learning. So we've developed and enhanced our own online learning portal for our customers and resellers to take some online classes to stay connected and up to date on the software. We hosted our own virtual conference, DriveWorks World. That will be again held digitally this year, Digital DriveWorks World at the end of March. And one of them I wanted to give a really nice shout out was in Nashville, when we had Dean Kamen on the third day speak about FIRST Robotics and getting involved, DriveWorks we launched a FIRST Robotics sponsorship. SolidWorks is such a big sponsor with FIRST Robotics, and we believe in educating young people and helping them get jobs and helping them just build their skills. It's a competitive job market.
Yeah.
And so we started our own FIRST Robotics sponsorship, and thanks for putting that up there. That's a QR code because so many user group leaders and customers. My own husband is a CAD mentor for our FIRST Robotics team. So we're offering teams the opportunity to learn an additional tool to complement SolidWorks and give these students and younger people an opportunity to build onto their CAD skills with a license of DriveWorks for a year for all of the robotics teams. So that QR code will help anybody get in touch. And so I look forward to 2022 and maybe seeing us all in person again. But thanks for letting me share a little bit, Sean.
Absolutely. Thank you so much to the three of you, Tracy, Marcus, and Heather, keeping us laughing and learning no matter where we are around the world. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.